River Nile across the bridge. In the background, you're seeing all that white smoke. You can probably hear those explosions as well in the background. It seems that riot police are firing tear gas, and it seems that it's being shot in the direction northbound from that bridge, which is running. It's called the Asr al-Aini Bridge, and it's being shot towards the October 6th bridge, where some of the protesters are. So all the traces of white smoke that you are seeing that are being lobbed right now at the protesters and landing on them are being fired from the, and you can see actually there the water cannons as well being fired, which indicates that at least within the vicinity of the riot police there are some protesters. But what seems to have appeared right now from where we are standing, riot police have taken over, and let me just correct this, it's the Asr al-Nil Bridge. Riot police have taken over that entire bridge. Protesters are on the October 6th bridge, and they're just several hundred meters away from each other. But what you're seeing is the riot police essentially trying to disperse the protesters that have gathered on that major thoroughway. So the situation, as you can see, remains very volatile and very tense. We are hearing the sounds of explosions, which are most likely as a result from the gas canisters that are being lobbed, and possibly even stun grenades. And there was another one that's being fired.
Let's just pause, shall we, Eamon?
You can see them.
Sorry, your commentary is brilliant, but let's just pause for a moment. I want to see if we can catch any of that sound on your microphone there. Of course, just as we pause, it seems to go a bit quiet there. Eamon, obviously at the risk of you, no, I won't say at the risk, not for you to editorialise here at all, but are you personally shocked by what you're seeing or amazed by what you're seeing in Cairo?
Well, Kamal, I've been to Cairo. I've been coming to Cairo for the past several years as a journalist, as well as that before that I grew up here. And I can tell you that even among the core of journalists that have been covering Egypt for decades that I've been speaking to over the last several days, it's being described as unprecedented. I mean, nobody in Egypt would have thought that these scenes would be taking place in 2011, at least not on this scale. Egypt is not a stranger to protests. In the past, they've definitely had all kinds of political protests, and especially since the beginning of 2003, 2004, there has been a slightly widening space for freedom of expression among the media and among political rallies and organizations. But to see that a rally in this magnitude, not only in the city of Cairo, which is very, very important to emphasize, what's so unique about these protests is that they're taking place nationwide, countrywide. You're seeing them in cities and governorates all across the country. The rallies that have happened in the past have been much more localized, much smaller numbers, and they're usually very concentrated in certain pockets of the countries. People that we've been speaking to, people who have lived in Egypt for decades and years, they are really describing this as historic. And it even, from the words of the senior NDP official that we spoke to earlier, I mean, it is being described really as unprecedented in so many ways, that this is something very few Egyptians have ever seen. And with a population that has the majority of it under the age of 30 and have known no other president than President Hosni Mubarak, indeed it is very historic what these images are.
Let's just talk about these pictures, Eamon. That looks like, I mean, yeah, that's an armoured vehicle. That's a man at the top firing tear gas, isn't it?
You can see the riot police have moved up on top of the bridge, the October 6th bridge. That right there is a armoured police vehicle. You can see the man standing on the top with small arms, and you can see there's a person carrying what seems to be an injured protesters across the bridge. Others are trying to help them out, but indeed the protesters have concentrated on the top of that October 6th bridge, and now riot police have approached from the eastern side of the Nile River, and you can see it looks like it could be a very explosive confrontation if the police continue to push across the bridge. It is very important for the police, and we know this from previous riots and previous experiences, they absolutely do not want protesters on the bridge. You can see right there the protesters are running. Go back to the live pictures.
Let's go back. We got it, Eamon. We got it.
You could see there the protesters storming the police car, firing, throwing rocks at it. They're pushing the police vehicle back off the bridge.
That's extraordinary. That is absolutely extraordinary.
Unprecedented. You can see it's a back and forth. You could see the police van trying to make its way up to the bridge and now being confronted by protesters throwing stones. It's backing down a little bit. There's the police vehicle turning away and going back down the bridge. You can see behind it the riot police have gathered in numbers. So it is a very, very difficult situation. Protesters there, you can see, throwing stones at the riot police, which were trying to take over the bridge. Kamal.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Eamon, maybe could you ask your camera perhaps to widen out a bit again? I want to get a look at what we were seeing earlier. Oh, hang on. No, stay on that. Hang on. That looked like a little shot of fire up there in the background.
Oh, there you could see.
Did you see that?
Yes, Kamal, we can see that from where we are, and what you're seeing, yes, indeed, it looks some kind of projectile that had flames on it was thrown at the riot police and did ignite once it exploded. The police, you could see some black smoke coming up from around it.
That sound of firing, what's that, Eamon? Is that the tear gas canisters being fired?
Kamal, it's slightly difficult to identify what those sounds are, but what we can see from the smoke that is being fired and at least coming in our direction, it does look like more tear gas is being fired in the direction of the protesters. We can't confirm exactly what each of those sounds are in terms of the projectiles, but undoubtedly the police, as has been consistent over the past 48 hours, 72 hours, they have been using tear gas, they have been using stun guns, and in certain cases they have been using rubber-coated bullets, according to eyewitnesses and people that we've spoken to. So again, we're seeing and we're hearing those sounds that we've heard in the past 72 hours.
Eamon, stay with me. I just want to pause for a moment for any viewers just tuning in on Al Jazeera, live continuing coverage of, and we've used this word a lot, unprecedented, but they are unprecedented events happening in Cairo right now. You're looking at a live shot from the Al Jazeera office in Cairo, looking at over what I believe, and forgive my pronunciation here, the Asr al-Nile bridge in Cairo, where protesters have been gathered for much of the last 3-4 hours. And the scenes have really increased over the last few minutes. We saw an armoured vehicle pushing protesters towards the right of frame, pushing them out. But then the protesters came back. It was people power, if you like. They were forcing the riot police in their armoured vehicle back. We saw some sort of projectile fire. There was a flame there. Eamon, what have you got for us, Eamon?
Well, Kamal, we can hear also from our studios the chants of the crowds below, and what they're asking, or what they're saying really, is where is the international media? And they are saying this is the real state terrorism. So the hundreds or so that have gathered on the bridge and below our office actually have been chanting now for the past few minutes, this is state terrorism, where is the media? So it's a very tense situation between the protesters and the organizers, or at least the organizers behind the protests and the rioters and the police that have come here. And